J. Smith Council Chambers. Would you all please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Okay, Kathleen, can we get roll call, please?
Fleming.
Here.
McCampbell.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Wilson. Here. Davidson.
Here.
Okay, we have a proclamation.
Yes, we do. The mayor has asked me to read this proclamation. Whereas in 2000, the Burlington Police Department instituted an award for Officer of the Year, whereby officers had the opportunity to nominate a fellow officer for his or her contribution to the department and the community as a whole. And whereas the award was renamed the Lieutenant Steve Cassidy Officer of the Year Award in memorial to Lieutenant Cassidy, who exemplified the characteristics of an officer going above and beyond expectations on a daily basis. And whereas the 2015 award recipient has been with the department since 2009, where he has served as an officer in the Patrol Division. This officer has a proactive and tireless approach to law enforcement, making him one of the most productive officers in the department. He regularly patrols high crime areas and is always monitoring activity in those areas so that a proactive approach can be utilized in keeping citizens safe. This officer gets along with everyone. He's very approachable, which is an asset when interacting with victims, witnesses, and complainants. He is always willing to help other officers and put in extra time and energy to make Burlington a great place to live, work, and play. Now, therefore, we, the City Council of the City of Burlington, Iowa, do hereby announce and proclaim the 16th award recipient and the 2015 Officer of the Year as Officer Michael Pope, in recognition of his positive attitude in providing service to our community throughout 2015. We therefore call upon all our citizens to especially honor and show our sincere appreciation to Officer Pope for his dedication and the sacrifices he makes by deed, remark, and attitude. Signed and sealed this 16th day of February 2016, Shane A. McCampbell, Mayor, and Officer Pope, if you'd come.
Let's all give one. Let's all get a picture of this. We're in the coat. So way back. Over here first.
Oh, yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, wonderful. Okay, Bob, move in a little. Okay, there we go.
If you get one, he'll be real nice to you when he gives you the ticket. Officer Pope, would you please have a word? Do it. It's coming.
Well, I'll try to make this as short as possible and speak slowly. I have an issue with that. I just want to thank the police department for giving me this chance to be a part of this department not only once but twice. I also want to thank my field training officers as well as all the command officers that have helped me get to where I am today. I also want to thank the City of Burlington for allowing me to try to make this a better and safer community.
You are certainly welcome. And if I could, Your Honor, I think that's just a good way to honor all of our patrol officers and all our policemen.
Absolutely.
So thank you, gentlemen and ladies, for all you do.
Absolutely. Well said. Tonight I'm excited just because I'm always excited when I get to recognize city employees. just because it's good to know that we have employees that go above and beyond the call of duty, and they work hard, and I like to recognize that. So I have 3 tonight. The first one that I'd like to honor is another police officer. I have had the privilege of speaking with him and actually sharing some venues with him where he has been. He's really involved with the kids. I just see this guy everywhere, and every time I see him, it's always a good experience. He always has a smile on his face, and I just wish every officer had an attitude like that, and he just needs to be recognized, and I'm really excited to be doing that tonight. I actually had some plastic handcuffs and a little badge that I was going to give you. Left it at the house. I forget things, so I will be dropping that off to the police station. You may need that. But be it known, on behalf of the city of Burlington, Iowa, I'd like to thank you for being a model Burlingtonian. Your positive attitude and commitment for being the kind of officer that leads by example, and your respect to everyone that you encounter on a daily basis help make Burlington a great place to live, work, and play. On February 16, 2016, this Mayor's Award is presented to John Stern. Officer, would you please come? You're a stud, my friend. God bless you. God bless you. To my pretty side. I know that take all night. Would you have a word to appreciate you.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you guys. It means a lot to me to be recognized. But I do want to say just a couple things. I just represent the officers. I think every officer out there cares so much about the city and so much about their job and the people that are with the city. It's an honor to represent them. Again, I work in the middle schools. I've got the privilege of working with middle school students, so that can be a handful at times. But I enjoy it. I love it. I love working with those kids and mentoring them and leading them and giving them some of the things that when we were growing up, we kind of took for granted. A lot of these kids don't have those opportunities, I take that I take it very seriously that we as a community have to do these things for these kids and go that extra mile now, because to be honest with you, they don't have those opportunities like what we had. So again, thank you. If I can convince any of you to come to the after school program, I highly recommend it. It is a very beneficial program. We work with these kids, help these kids, and you do get a very good sense of accomplishment with these kids. They really enjoy having people come in and talk about their lives and the different things that they do. So call me, call Cree Gully, call Jennifer Schmitz, and we can set stuff up so you guys can come in there and talk to them. It goes for anybody. Please come in, volunteer. It's awesome. Thank you.
That's awesome. These next two are bullying me, so I have to do them both at the same time. But I just want to say this real quick, that these two work really hard. I sometimes like to do a little something extra special, and I decided to do that tonight for these two. One of them is Tabitha Miller, and the other is Katie Music. They're part of the Pride Committee. They do a lot of things that if you ever come down to City Hall during the holidays and you see all the Christmas trees put up, they don't do that on their own. We had a great city day this year. They were a big part of that. I'm always asking for things, and I'll tell you, they've never let me down, and I'm just so grateful for these two. So I'm going to do theirs together. Be it known, on behalf of the city of Burlington, Iowa, I would like to thank you both for being model Burlingtonians. Your positive attitude, selflessness, and commitment both on and off the job help make Burlington a great place to live, work, and play. And also your ability to deal with sometimes hostile patrons help make Burlington a great place to live, work, and play. These awards are to Ms. Katie Busick and Ms. Tabitha Miller. Would you guys please come forward? And if you don't mind, these are extra special just for you two, and I think they're symbolic of what you guys do for the city and for me. So if you don't mind, would you open up your...
Oh my God. We don't have to show this, do we?
Yes, yeah, you have to show it.
Okay, aspirin, we'll show this one.
Because I can give people headaches sometimes.
I've never really had this issue, but hemorrhoidal cooling gel.
I can be a pain sometimes. You weren't supposed to announce that one. Keep it moving.
And the foot file.
Because they're on their feet a lot, so.
We are on our
Anyways, thank you very much, both of you. Okay. And if you guys want to dip on out of here, you're more than welcome to. We understand. So if anybody wants to leave, we'll give you a chance to do so. And thanks again, officers, for coming down to support too as well. All right, next on the agenda tonight is the consent agenda. All matters listed under item 1 consent agenda, having been discussed, are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If a discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Tonight on the consent, we have the usual finances and miscellaneous, minutes of previous meetings, payroll and city claims, beer, liquor, wine, and cigarettes, reports, and bonds. We have 5 hearings set for March 7th. The first is consideration of plans and specs for the 2016 HMA resurfacing project. The second is consideration of a sale of property locally known as 115 Gulf Lane with conditions, City of Burlington, Des Moines County, Iowa. The third is consideration of a sale of property locally known as 300 Washington Street with conditions, City of Burlington, Des Moines County, Iowa. The fourth is consideration of fiscal year 2016-2017 budget. And the fifth is a consideration of a permanent encroachment agreement with Art Guild of Burlington, Inc. for encroachment into city right-of-way at 301 Jefferson Street, Burlington, Iowa. And we also have one appointment, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Your Honor. Because Michael Wagner has resigned from the Human Rights Commission, we want to thank him for his service. There's an opening there, and Candy Glick has expressed an interest in serving. So Candy Glick will fill the unexpired term, which expires on March 17th, 2017.
All right. We thank Candy. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to have any of these items removed from the consent agenda? I see none. Council?
Not I.
Can I get a motion, please?
Your Honor, I move to approve all items under item 1 consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and second, Kathleen.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson. Aye. Davidson.
Aye.
Okay. This time we have a consideration of a sale of property locally known as 1417 Toll Street with conditions, City of Burlington, Des Moines County, Iowa. Is there anybody that has any comments for or against the sale of this property? Okay, I see none. I'm sorry.
Then just turn it over to.
Okay. Mr. Tissel?
Show some information on the property. This is at 1417 Toole Street, located between Oak and Flora, Toole and Ganon. It is a property we acquired through the abandoned building program. It's one that we are selling for rehabilitation at this point. It's kind of the background specs on the building. It is a 4-bedroom home with 1 full bathroom on a 40 by 120 foot lot. There are some work that does need to be occur with the property, as with most of the properties that we acquire through this program. Electrical, plumbing, some HVAC clean out, windows and doors as needed, roof as needed. Sidewalks and parking areas improved to meet code standards as necessary. All permits shall be received and codes shall be met as applicable for work and occupancy of the home, including a licensed plumber and electrician shall sign off and inspect that such items meet code or are brought up to code. Work shall commence within 60 days and be completed within 180 days of approval of the council, with an extension of 180 days granted if progress is made. Failure to meet the timeframes may result in forfeiture of sale and purchase with resale of the property by the city. Quitclaim deed shall be transferred to purchaser upon substantial completion of renovation of the home. We have had 3 bids on the property, 2 in the amount of $500, 1 from DKE Properties and 1 from 2x4 Properties, and 1 bid for $5,000 by Burlington Paradise from Mohammed Naruzi. So the current bid is at $5,000.
Okay. Well, we have a current bid at $5,000. Let's open up the bidding. Do I have a bid at $10,000? Mohammed, would you like to make a bid of $10,000? Sure. Not tonight, though. Not tonight, though. This is going to be a fantastic property. I'll tell you, I would love to jump on it myself. I just don't have any money. But listen, this is going to make somebody a fantastic property. Is there anybody that has a bid higher than $5,000? Going once. Is there a bid higher than $5,000? It's going to make somebody a lovely home. Third time, do we have a bid higher than $5,000? Mohammed, you're the man. I'm sorry.
5,500.
That always freaks me out when
We
people
need,
do that.
we need to have a name and come to the.
Can you, yes, can you, you're not on here, so can we get your name?
I am. I'm here for 2x4 Properties.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And
And you're at 5,500?
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Bless your heart. Mohammed, 6? Mohammed's going 6. Do I have a bid higher than 6? Do I have a bid higher than 6? Mohammed's back there smiling. I think somebody needs to take the... oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Mohammed's back there smiling. Okay. So we're at 6,000. And do we have any other offers above 6,000 going once? Any offers going twice? All right. We have a property sold to Mr. Mohammed. Thank you for coming down for $6,000. Mayor Pro Tem?
Your Honor, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Kathleen?
Fleming.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Wilson. Aye. Davidson.
Aye. Your Honor, I move to approve the resolution of sale of property locally known as 1417 Toole Street with condition, the City of Burlington, Iowa, Des Moines County.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen?
Need a
Your,
motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your Honor, I move to amend
Thank you.
the resolution, Exhibit C, approving the sale of property locally known as 1417 Toole Street, City of Burlington, Wayne County. The property be sold to Burlington Paradise, Mohammed Naruzi, 3222 West Mount Pleasant Street, West Burlington, the amount of $6,000.
Second.
Okay, now we can take it vote. Kathleen?
Okay, this is on the amendment.
Right.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
And as amended?
Right. Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
All right. Well, we sold another property. Mohammed, come on over here and shake my hand. You know what? I'll tell you what. What's that? I'm gonna give you a diploma, but I'm gonna give you this for right now. You hold that until we get to your diploma. But we certainly appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Again, sir, we appreciate that. Thank you, and thanks everybody that came down. And if there's anybody that wants to leave now, if they came down just for the auction, we'll give you an opportunity to do that.
Be sure to tell 2x4 Properties thank you, too. Please.
I know she had that earpiece in her ear. Always throws me off. Okay. Next, we have a consideration of an ordinance vacating and selling a portion of South 14th Street right-of-way located adjacent to 1800, 1802, and 1804 South 15th Street, and adjacent to 1408 Harrison Avenue, Burlington, Iowa. Mr. Tisland.
Again, this is vacating of South 14th Street right-of-way located adjacent to the properties at 1800, 1802, 1804 South 15th, and 1408 Harrison. This did go to the Planning Commission on November 17th, 2015, and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of vacating of the described alley. Based on the unique orientation of the right-of-way containing both a public street and an alley, the desire of ownership and maintenance of the right-of-way by adjacent property owners, and the required maintenance of easements within the right-of-way. Shown on the map here, this is a unique circumstance, probably in Burlington, where there is a street right-of-way, South 14th Street, and somewhat of an alley contained within the same right-of-way. There's been some confusion over the years as to requirement of maintenance and ownership of the property, dealing with nuisance just from mowing grass and access to the property, and did have a property owner come forward requesting to vacate this alley and sell it to the adjacent property owners, as shown on the plat of survey. So this varies from just over 30 feet on the north to 39 feet on the south. These are not buildable lots by themselves. They'd have to be combined with the adjacent lots. And there would be an easement for the roadway, as shown on the plat, as well as an easement for the utility maintenance over the right-of-way as well. But this would be sold to the adjacent property owners, again, at 1800 and 1802 and 1804 South 15th Street, and then 1408 Harrison Street, and combined with their existing properties.
Sounds good enough to me. Is there anybody that has any questions or comments from the audience? Anybody but Leon? Anyone? How you doing, Leon?
Alan Shahan, 1821 Mount Pleasant Street. These things, kind of things, how much do they sell for? Is it just $1 or $500, or what are we talking about?
Generally, it's based on the use and able to build on it. If there's easements over all of it, it's generally been for $500 because they're not able to build on it, they just have to maintain it. If there's some use for the property, then there is more of a
Fair
square
market
footage
value.
price, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? Carlos?
Yeah, I'm trying to consent with the boss lady. Like on a court or something. My question
Can we
is,
get your name and your address, please?
Carlos Ruiz in 1408 Harrison, sorry. My question is, so if we buy the property 500, I can't build a fence across that alleyway if I wanted to?
No, there's an access easement over the alleyway. An access for the roadway going north and
Right.
south, so you
I
couldn't.
can't block that
No,
access then?
no.
Okay. Okay. Because I'm just fine if it's feasible for me to do it, because I got 3 trees on top of that land, of that part that you're talking about, that you want to sell. Really have no use for that land, really. I mean, if I can't build on it like a garage, right now I share a garage next to that person next to me. And really it's a pit, you know, if I can't use the land to even put a garage on there, then it won't make no use for me to have it. Now, if I don't, do I have to, does everybody on this lane have to agree to buy it? If not, you guys just, I mean, how does that work if one person doesn't buy it?
Fortunately, this is the first I've heard of this, I guess. It has been agreed to through the planning commission that everyone was purchasing it adjacent to it, but,
Well, see, I buy this house on contract to my boss,
oh, okay.
you know, and, you know, he's allowing me to, you know, decide if I want to buy it or not, but, you know, if, I'm just assuming the land, which I can't even use because there's 3 trees on it. Now, the other 3 lots or 4 lots, man, they can, you know, they're great for them because they ain't got nothing on that land. I just got 3 trees I got to maintain, and it's, you know, if I own that, now I got to trim them trees. You know, it's already branching over onto the lines that I don't have those expenses to do those things, you know. So I just want to get it clarified, just so if I do pick up the land, what I actually can do with it. So just let it sit there, and I got to mow it, and I hate mowing to begin with. So
Appreciate your honesty.
Sounds like a job for the boss.
Yeah, I got a riding mower that I don't even want to jump on. So I just want to clarify that. Again, you know, if we pick it up, that's fine. But if I have no use for it, then why should I pick up something I got to maintain? It's just.
It's a great question.
Yeah, that does make sense.
I think our planner had dealt with the owner, not you individually.
Yeah, but when I
So-
talked to my boss, he's like, well, you're the owner, you're buying it from me, I'm just the bank, you know, so, pretty much that's how he summed it. Now, it looked, in the beginning, it sounded interesting. Oh, wow, okay, if we assume that land, then we can actually make it part of, you know, if we were to sell the property and someone buys it and says, wow, now I got a nice big yard, but now I got a roadway going through it that I can't cut off, and that really doesn't tie into that whole aspect of reselling a property if I do that. You know, if somebody picks it up, your kids can play on that side, but you gotta watch out them cars, don't come down that road or come down this road, and there's no resale value for me there if I can't cut that off and make it one huge yard.
Is this something that we can take back and then, and bring back, to discuss, or how do you feel about that?
It might be something we need to discuss further. This is the first I've heard of it, and I think Charlie, our planner, had talked with the owner of the property, not the
Yeah, I think
contract purchaser. So
it was real vague. It just said, okay, if the city can have access to the, to get to, I guess, the sewer or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but, you know, my boss was like, yeah, if you want to cut it off, because it's gonna be yours. But now you just said, I can't do that, so it makes no sense for me to have to maintenance 3 trees that I gotta, and a yard I can't even use, so.
I guess that would be we're vacating the alley, but they can't turn it into grass.
that roadway there has an easement over it for access.
And that's never been done before?
We've maintained easements on alleys that we've vacated before, or right-of-way that we've vacated before, but I just hadn't talked to this individual before. Our department hadn't.
Council? What do you guys think?
Well, I don't see how you can move ahead if we have a protest here.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to look into,
Yeah,
you know, his concerns and
we
what
gotta
we can do,
explore
or
options.
maybe try to meet somewhere in the middle. You know, see what our options
Capital
are.
suggestion. I like the way that. Let's, we'll just go ahead and we'll bring this back up, and we'll see we'll try to address, so that way we've got something more solid for you, and
Okay.
And we'll move forward from there.
I'm
So,
glad you came down, though. That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, thanks for bringing the boss, too. She's prettier than you are.
Okay, Your Honor, I move that we continue this to what would be appropriate, Kathleen.
You have an ordinance up to be considered. You could turn it down and have it, and direct it to go back to planning and zoning and ask them to reconsider this again and to whether we would actually have a viable vacation to move forward or not. You could look at approving the first reading and continuing it on through the process to see if there's the ability to get to an agreement, and if you can't, then you at some point need to kill the ordinance. Those look to me like your two options for what you do here.
So neither one are going to be any more expeditious. It's going to be both.
One of them continues it with the possibility, if you approve the first reading, you have the possibility that this will actually still move and occur if you can satisfy the concerns with this one property.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way we should do it.
The other way would just stall it or stop it and have it start over again if you can in the future get everybody agreed to. And I don't know if you, Eric, have a preferred route where you go here. Do you want to keep it viable at least for now?
Yeah, we do have an upcoming planning commission meeting. We could have more discussion there. And
So do you want it to continue with, get the first reading through if?
yeah, and then if we're not able to get something, we could.
And then vote it down at a later
Yeah.
subsequent reading?
And there is an extra week because we don't have
Yep.
a meeting, so. I'm glad you thought of that, Jim.
Okay, that works for me.
All
So
right, forget my motion.
Okay, we're gonna close the hearing. Need a motion.
I will move to close the hearing.
second,
Second?
Kathleen.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott,
No.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye. Your Honor, I move for preliminary adoption of the first reading of an ordinance vacating and selling a portion of the South 14th Street right-of-way located adjacent 1800, 1802, 1804 South 15th Street, and 1408 Harrison.
Second.
Kathleen.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott,
No.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Okay. Moving right along, and thank you. Next, we have consideration of an ordinance vacating and selling a portion of alley right-of-way located south of 1325 Iowa Street, Burlington, Iowa. Mr. Tislin.
This again, vacating just the portion south of 1325 Iowa Street. Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on November 17th and voted 4-1 to approve vacating of the described alley based on the status of the alley as a dead-end, untraveled alley with topography limiting any future travelway access through the alley right away, along with desire of ownership and maintenance of the alley by the applicant. Based on the topography, this portion up here had been used as parking in the past. Based on being an alley, was not able to continue parking there and had desire to be able to improve the alley for expanding his garage or parking area there behind his property. The portions to the east, adjacent property owners did not express interest at this time in vacating the alley just based on the unusable nature of the alley and limited access to that portion. So this ordinance is just for that portion as shown on the map behind 1325 Iowa Street.
Sounds good to me. Is there anybody from the audience that has any questions or concerns on this ordinance? I see none. Council?
None here.
Good.
None.
Okay.
Your Honor, I have a motion to close. Second.
Kathleen?
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Your Honor, I have a motion for preliminary adoption of the first reading of an ordinance vacating and selling a portion of alley right-of-way located south of 1325 Iowa Street, Burlington, Iowa.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen? Just take that one.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Okay. Let's have it. Next is a consideration of a resolution adopting the Des Moines County Hazard Mitigation Plan. And who's going to?
We have Emery Ellingson here with Southeast Iowa Regional Planning Commission. Just did want to mention as well that the entire pre-disaster mitigation plan is on our website under the Community Development Department. On the left-hand side, there's a link that anyone can go and view the entire disaster mitigation plan. It is a 354-page document, so anyone interested in looking at that or going through it, that is available on our website for people to view.
Yeah, so just a brief overview, like Eric had said. It's a 350-page document that it's basically like a comprehensive plan in similar fashion, except it talks about environmental hazards. So it kind of identifies what threats do we face here in Des Moines County, how are we going to respond to those, and how would we, if one were to happen, how would you come back from it? So the plan was approved by FEMA in November 2015, and they have to be redone every 5 years. So it was up to be updated, and every participating jurisdiction just needs to pass it by resolution. And again, kind of the reasoning to have one on file is when you apply for hazard mitigation funding, you have to prove that you have it on, you've passed it by resolution. So it's kind of the gist of it. Any questions?
Any questions from the audience? Man, what a lovely audience tonight. Council?
None here.
Thank you, Emery.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, I have a motion to close.
Second.
Move to second, Kathleen.
Fleming.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
All right, resolution adopting the Des Moines County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Second.
Kathleen.
Fleming.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have consideration of a resolution authorizing a permanent encroachment agreement with Hope Haven Area Development Center for encroachment into city right-of-way at 617 Jefferson Street, Burlington, Iowa. Mr. Tislin.
This encroachment agreement is for access, stair and ramp access into the building that Hope Haven is constructing at 617 Jefferson Street. Based on the elevation of the main floor, access from the sidewalk on the north and west sides does require some change in elevation. So they are looking at placing a ramp and stairs on the Jefferson Street side and the stair access on the South 7th Street side as well. This was planned as part of their redevelopment there. The new construction on the project have a image that somewhat shows that as well, with the access on the 7th Street side and then the ramp and stair access on the main entrance on Jefferson Street. So these two items are in the city right-of-way and require the encroachment agreement. Do have representatives here for Hope Haven if you have additional questions as well.
Okay, is there anyone from the audience that has questions or comments? Julie, anything? Okay. Any questions? Council, any questions?
No.
No.
Good.
We're good, looks like.
Glad to see the new building.
Yeah, it's gonna be a nice addition, isn't it? I'm trying to kill time here until the mayor comes back.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
worried.
Your Honor, a motion to close.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to close, and a second to close the public hearing. Kathleen?
Fleming.
Aye.
McCampbell. Scott.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing a permanent encroachment agreement with Hope Haven Area Development Center for an encroachment into the city right-of-way at 617 Jefferson Street, Burlington, Iowa.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comment? Council? Okay. Okay. Kathleen?
Fleming.
Aye.
McCampbell. Scott.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye. Ready to go? Thank you.
Your Honor, I have a motion for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance rezoning property locally known as 509 Melrose Court from R2 Single Family Residential to C2 General Commercial Zoning District.
Second.
Okay. Okay, Your Honor, we're on ordinance number 1.
Okay.
I have a motion and a second.
No changes from the previous reading on this. Again, this is a rezoning of the property at 509 Melrose. from R2 Single Family Transitional Zoning District to C2 General Commercial Zoning District upon request of Hy-Vee that has an option to purchase and look to expand their property, moving their gas station and car wash to this location at 509 Melrose Court. There are a couple conditions of the rezoning as approved by the Planning Commission, which did vote 6-0 with one abstain to recommend approval of the rezoning. One being a 40-foot wide landscape buffer on the east side of the property along Melrose Court. Maximum of one access point allowed off of Melrose Court, subject to staff approval. And then future land use map be amended from low density residential to commercial. The site plan somewhat shows the layout, proposed layout of the property, expanding and kind of restriping their existing parking lot in front of the Hy-Vee by removing the gas station, moving it to the east to this property at 509 Melrose Court, with potential of one access point near the southern entrance and a car wash just to the north of the gas station, the Pumps Long Agency. Of note, the car wash would have entrance on the east side and exit on the west side in an effort to minimize any noise associated with blowers, and then as well as the landscape buffer on the east side as well to shield the residential neighbors to the east. The owner or the representative from Hy-Vee could not be here tonight. They did request through email that if there were no concerns or comments from the audience or anything brought forward, that they had requested to waive the third reading so they can move forward with their project. But I do believe they did state some representatives from the church were here if there were any questions as well.
Is there anybody here from the audience that has, that does not want to see this, this project go, that has anything negative to say in regards to what we're doing with this project? Is there anybody here that has anything they feel like they need to add in regards to this topic? Okay. Man, Leon's not even saying anything. Okay, counsel?
Your Honor, I have a motion to amend. To amend the motion on preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance rezoning property locally known as 509 Melrose Court from R2 Single Family Residential. Am I in the right one?
Yeah, you're there.
Okay. C2 General Commercial Zoning District to read as follows. For waiver of preliminary consideration adoption of the second reading for final adoption of an ordinance rezoning the property locally known as 509 Melrose Court from R2 Single Family Residential to C2 General Commercial Zoning District.
Second that.
Kathleen?
Okay, this is on the motion to amend.
Yes.
Fleming?
Aye.
McCampbell?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Wilson?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
And as amended?
Fleming?
Aye.
McCampbell?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Wilson?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Okay, good deal.
Your Honor, I have a motion for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance amending ordinance number 3166 and ordinance number 3105 by eliminating the requirements for landscape buffer.
Second.
Mr. Tislin?
This is
anything to
tied.
add to this?
This is tied directly to the previous rezoning. Under the rezoning ordinance, a number of years ago, when the current Hy-Vee was built, that area was zoned residential and was rezoned to commercial. As part of that rezoning ordinance 3105 and then amended 3166, it did require the landscape buffer that's presently on the east side of the existing parking lot with some evergreen trees in that location. Through this request to rezone 509 Melrose and expand to the east, they've asked to eliminate this existing landscape buffer so they could expand their parking area. And through the ordinance, you just approved for 509 Melrose that essentially placed that landscape buffer to the east on Melrose Court. So this was kind of the second phase of this, eliminating the existing landscape buffer and then replacing it with the landscape buffer that you just approved through the rezoning of 509 Melrose. So that allow their parking lot to expand to the east and allow better flow there.
Anybody from the audience have any comments or concerns? I see none. Council? We're good to move forward on this?
Good.
Your Honor, I have a motion to amend on this one also. to amend the motion of preliminary adoption for the second reading of an ordinance amending ordinance number 3166 and ordinance number 3105 by eliminating the requirements for landscape buffer to read as follows: for waiver of preliminary consideration and adoption of the second reading, and for final adoption of an ordinance amending ordinance number 3166 and ordinance number 3105 by eliminating the requirements for landscape buffer.
Second.
Moved in second. Okay, Kathleen for the amendment.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Okay, and as amended?
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Okay, good deal.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving the preliminary plat of Christine subdivision.
Second.
Mr. Tisland.
This is a 7-lot subdivision located north of Plank Street and east of Gunnison Street. It's an existing parcel of land that's currently zoned M1 light industrial. It is currently used by the owner with a building on site for storage of materials. He's had some interest in others that desire to store, either build storage sheds or park unpaved parking areas, and is looking to subdivide this lot into 7 buildable lots. This did go to the Planning Commission. They voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the 7-lot preliminary plat. So based on the zoning, that someone could purchase a lot and construct a storage building, whether for personal use or commercial use. Would have to meet all our current codes, including paving of a driveway and paving of any surfaces that they're parking on. So.
Any questions or concerns from the audience? I see none. Council?
Good use for that.
Okay. Kathleen?
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Okay, good deal.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving the final plat of 9th addition to Westbrook Estates subdivision.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Tisland.
This is a 2-lot subdivision, basically a farm ground that would be attached to the properties to the east. The current owner of Westbrook Estates does have a future plan to connect a roadway to the east around this property, but these 2 lots would not be buildable based on the layout of the street and orientation of the lots. And the current owners of the lots to the east have a desire to expand their current lot size. So this area here would simply be created or subdivided into 2 lots and then attached with the homes to the east. They would not be buildable lots. They'd just expand the lot size of the existing 2 homes there, as shown here by lot 27A and 28A. Based on the size of the lots, it does have to go through the platting process, and that's why it's before you.
Okay. Anyone from the audience that has any concerns, comments? Okay, I see none. Council?
We're good.
Okay. Kathleen?
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
I have, Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the acceptance of deed to the property at 300 Washington Street.
Second.
Mr. Tisland.
And this was the former typewriter building at 300 Washington Street. We previously approved a resolution authorizing purchase of the property. Based on the language within the resolution, the attorney expressed a desire to have the resolution that accepts the actual deed, that the council authorize acceptance of the deed, transferring ownership of the property to the city of Burlington. So it's kind of a language requirement based on the attorney's recommendation. One note is that the owner would be allowed to remove personal property from the first floor of the building, not including any structural or building component items, until May 1st of 2016. So.
Any questions or comments from the audience? I don't even see Steve Freebert moving. Okay. We're on to shut him down. Council?
Just for the record, I want to reiterate, we are not keeping this building,
Thank you for saying that.
correct?
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Thank you very good.
if it's not getting transferred tonight, we're keeping it for too long.
Maybe 3 weeks, right? 2 weeks.
I still would like, I don't want any part of it. I just won't say anymore.
You good? Are you sure you don't wanna?
I don't want any part of it.
Okay. I can respect that. Anybody else? Okay, let's get down to business. Kathleen?
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Scott,
No,
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it.
Yeah.
Last resolution.
Yep, Your Honor, I have a resolution approving urban revitalization tax exemptions pursuant to Chapter 404 of the State of the State Code of Iowa, tax abatements.
second.
So before you in this resolution is all the properties that have applied in the past year for tax abatements through our program. We will, once this is approved tomorrow, they'll be taken over to the county, and then the county will abate their tax in the future based on the schedule that they've picked, either the 3-year 100% or the 10-year sliding scale. Does anybody have any questions? Nope.
Does anybody have any questions from the audience? Anybody but Leon Shane?
You sit quiet all night long.
Yes, you
I've sat through the whole meeting to do
Yes,
this.
you have. Yes, you have.
First of all, I'm looking at Exhibit A here. Are these dollar amounts, those are the assessed valuations before any rollback or anything like that?
Those are the estimated values submitted by the owner of the home, just the estimated improvement value submitted by the owner, not the actual assessed value that the county will.
So
determine.
what changes normally happen there? Much of any, or do they send the assessor out? Or
The assessor will go out and inspect the home.
just ballpark, how close are these numbers?
Depends on whether the individual, I guess from our experience, it depends on whether the individual, how much experience they had in the construction phase. If they've just bought a home for $400,000, they may value it at $400,000, not factoring in maybe $50,000 land value or something. Someone that had more experience or dealing in the actual construction of their home, they might be closer because they know the actual cost of it. But these are just estimates by the homeowners. They're not what the actual values will be by the assessor.
Well, we did this last year. Do you have any idea how much money you are abating here? We'll see how close we are.
This was that you guys got last week that showed the 2014 exemption value and the 2015. So we did present this last week to the council.
Now, is this amount, this is just for 1 year, or what am I looking at here?
Yeah, that's a report coming straight from Des Moines County. So this is the 2014 tax year, and this is the 2015 tax year. So this is the total taxes that are being abated.
So that would be,
Or the
Stephanie,
values,
that
right?
would be like if, for homes that had been over the last 10 years, that had chosen a 10-year abatement schedule, that would be the portion that was abated in that given year, or each given year?
This is just the value, so
The
it's
total,
not, these aren't tax dollars, these are the values that have been abated.
but those would be the totals, though, for?
Yes, yeah. It's broken down by the ones that chose 10-year and 3-year, and then commercial and industrial and residential.
So the bottom line is not the actual taxes
Right.
on that list, it's the value of the property.
But this is showing that
But
we're
that-
abating this amount of value in taxes.
Just for 1 year?
Yes.
Okay, the rub on that is with this action, what's happening, you're taking tax dollars out of future revenues for up to 10 years. And using the current rollbacks and the current tax levy, I went through and figured out how much money this action, based on these dollar amounts, and I guess according to Eric, that will change. But the effect on your taxes in the upcoming year and subsequent years is $2.6 million.
Did you factor in it's a graduating over 10 years?
Yes, I did.
Good.
I got numbers all over the page there where I calculated the factors.
Good.
It's $2.6 million. The problem is, we're doing this every year. People say, I'm out of my gourd when I say economic development is costing the taxpayers $5 million a year plus. You have a TIF budget of $2.5 million plus or minus. Right here is $2.6 million. That's $5 million bucks. Now, I'm looking at my tax statement, which is coming up and due pretty soon. Your total tax levy per this is $11 million. Nearly half of your money, and this comes through school taxes and everything else, so you can't lift up one piece of paper and find the damage to the city budget, but the damage to me is 1/2 of my city property tax dollars are going to economic development. You know, you're giving money to people just coming in town, and I've lived here 30 years plus. And you're jacking up my taxes by double. That's just not right.
But most of these properties are houses and residential renovations. I don't understand.
But I'm still paying the freight for the others. Now, I went through
I don't
it.
see how you call that economic development.
Then what is it?
If it's residential homes.
What is it then?
Someplace for somebody to live. But I understand your point.
You know, if you look just at business and commercial, what you're giving away is $1.4 million. That's a lot of money.
I guess I wouldn't say we're giving it away. I'd say we're encouraging.
If these businesses don't pay the taxes and you have streets and you have lighting out there, I'm paying for it. And that's what's wrong with this.
I understand your argument.
You know, you can take basically everything west of Roosevelt Avenue. The net taxes you're receiving for that would hardly keep the streetlights on. For everything else, I'm paying for that. That's wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shahan. Any other comments from the audience? The voice of reason.
Hi, well, Larry Williams, 1567 Mason Lane. I'm a little confused. What I read in the Hawkeye indicated that the school district wouldn't be affected by this. Is that correct?
That what?
The school district taxes wouldn't be affected by this.
Aren't they all
Does it
Yep.
cover everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's just on TIF that it doesn't affect them then.
Well, when taxes are abated, it's on your full.
It's on everything?
It's on everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just an economic incentive for people to live here?
To build a new house or to renovate their existing house.
Well, the theory behind it is you're trying to encourage, I mean, when you go and put it in place, the theory is that you're going to encourage building that would otherwise potentially not have happened. You also have to know that there are a lot of building that will occur, would have happened anyway. But this is designed to be an incentive to try to get new construction to occur. Now,
when a lot of
people have different ideas as to whether those theories are actually do bear out over time. And there's also arguments when it comes to that. Once one community does it and another community does it, and you now have an incentive that everybody has to do just to be part of the normal playing field, then it kind of loses its effectiveness. But if you don't participate along with everyone else, you are at a disadvantage to the other areas for development. So there's going to be a lot of different theories about how this all does play out into whether it's an actual positive benefit or not.
Retired people like me, if we decide to live somewhere, it's an incentive to live one place versus another, though. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And again, Mr. Shahan, I understand your point. I appreciate your passion, and I'll tell you what, you never change. You're always on the same note, my friend. I can give you points for that. Is there anybody else from the audience that has any comments? Okay, council. Okay, Kathleen.
Fleming.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Okay. At this time, we will take comments from the audience. If there's anything that you'd like to address that we have not covered tonight, this is your opportunity. Is there anybody from the audience? Mr. Shahan. Love the jacket, by the way.
Thank you. Leon Shahan again. Just one question. What is the final arrangements as far as approving the budget? You have a hearing March 7th. Then how does that work from there? Isn't there a second meeting that you have to finalize, or is it finalized at that time?
After the public hearing is held, the council can take action to approve the budget. Typically, that occurs at the same meeting.
And you anticipate this year to do it at the same meeting?
Yeah. Otherwise, they'd have to schedule a special meeting after that.
That's happened before?
Yep, it has.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience? Okay. I want to say you guys have been fantastic tonight. We appreciate you. We're going to have closing comments. I just want to start. I heard that we lost a crown jewel of Burlington, and I just want to send out my condolences and my sympathy to the L family. And I just what a wonderful woman. So I just offer my condolences, and just want Bill to know and the family that they will be in my prayers. When you look at things like that, I'll tell you, TIF and all these other little things that kind of they fall a little bit lower on my list of priorities sometimes when you have to say goodbye to somebody. Anyways, I just wanted to say that. Mr. Tislin? Councilwoman Wilson?
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Councilman Scott?
Not tonight.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Not for me, thanks.
Councilman?
Not now.
But you
Maybe later.
But you reserve the right.
Yes.
You'll
City
receive
manager.
at least one right. One of the things that's pointed out to me on our city website now too, under city government, there is a new tab for city code of ordinances. So you can, it's a searchable format if you want to go take a look at that and see how it works compared to having an Adobe Acrobat file. It's a lot easier to maneuver around in. The zoning code is incorporated within that as the final chapter, so they'll be a little bit different than what we've had in the past, where we've had two separate documents. They're now combined. A decision that was made here a couple of weeks ago, I guess maybe it's last week. COBCO received a notice from our broker, Gallagher. They resigned as acting as our broker. In the interim, COBCO made a decision to move ahead and just revert back to Two Rivers to fill that broker role for the remainder of Gallagher's contract, about 1 year and 5 months. They're honoring Gallagher's pricing for the remainder of this year, and then I think they're increasing it for that third year. Just given the time frame that we had with trying to get, we're still in the middle of trying to get final rates. In fact, we'll be talking about that tomorrow at COBCO's board meeting in the afternoon. It's looking like we're down to about right around 8% increase in the overall health insurance plan. That was one of the things that we were struggling with as we were trying to work with Gallagher, was getting what was that actual rate increase supposed to be. Two Rivers has been able to turn that around here in less than 2 weeks. So we're happy that we had them to be able to fall back on and rely on to help us to work through this. And would anticipate that that'll be a decision as we get to the end of that. What would have been the 3-year contract with Gallagher, that we'll have some discussion about what we want to do for continuation of services after that. Police building, Chief Baird mentioned, I think that they're doing the inspections yet this week. They have it scheduled to be able to get into the facility, Klingner, to look at it. So that is continuing to progress. We've had conversations with Estes as the architect on that. They specialize again in the police structures, and we've worked with them over the last few years to get us to the point where we're at. We'd anticipate that we'll be getting a contract to you over the course of the next month or two for them. We also plan on, over the course of the next few weeks, get a request for qualifications out for construction manager, that agency, construction manager dash agency approach that we had a presentation on in the fall, and see what firms might be interested in performing that level of service on this facility. But that'll be a process that we'll begin and go through over the course of the next couple of months as well. The Manor site, we do have a tentative closing on that set for February 26th. We'll see if that date actually holds up or not, but that's tentatively what we're looking at for when they would take possession from us on that property. The next work session on the 29th, we're going to have a special meeting at the beginning of it just to set a public hearing. One of the things that's in the budget is a placeholder for debt service for a bond issue to cover the projects in this next year's CIP plan. We have to have a pre-levy authorization resolution approved at that March 7 meeting in conjunction with the budget to satisfy that placeholder for what we'd be doing for a levy for repayment on it. We just got that notice from today from our bond folks. Sorry about that, not catching up on that and having that part of tonight's meeting. Negotiations, we'd mentioned that we're going through the mediation process with CWA. That has not been scheduled yet. We're still underway with discussions with CWA. I think the next meeting isn't set until end of March. So, I'm sorry, ASME. ASME is mediation. So we are moving forward with those, but there's nothing final. And nothing happening in the next week or two. It's going to take longer than what we'd like. I don't think anyone has signed up for the league's legislative day, but that's it's March 1st, Tuesday in Des Moines. If anyone's interested in going, I do plan on going to that and get registered through Katie. And if you do want to go, you can go down with me or up with me. I don't know if you all got an email for Municipal Leadership Academy. Their session, what they called Session 3 or Part 3, will be in Fairfield on Saturday, April 9. If any of you want to go to that, I mean, it's a good educational session, but it is taking your Saturday.
I was going to ask you how valuable you think that one is going to be.
I think that you enjoyed going up for the last year, the training in Des Moines in April. I think that you'll find that this is similar, comparable, probably not quite as in-depth of a series, but it's along that same framework. It'll be a good session. But if you do want to go, work with Katie and she'll get you registered. Okay. Did you?
I wasn't sure if they had other dates, locations.
They do.
Okay.
And I don't know if you you got the email, didn't you?
Yeah.
If you click on, there's a spot on there for other locations. There's 5 other locations across.
I was having a problem with it, so
okay.
I'll have to get on a computer and do it.
I can email you that too if you'd like me to.
That'd be nice if you would
okay.
actually. Yeah, because that Saturday,
okay.
I have something planned.
And I think that covers, the only other thing I'll mention, the flood mitigation. I mentioned that this morning at the chamber meeting. Design work is underway. That's an ongoing process. They are tentatively hoping to be at a spot where they're ready to go out to bid about the turn of the year. But leading into that process, they want to have another, they'll be looking at having another open house here to get some public input on what that should encompass, and I'm not really sure what they're looking to try to structure that at, but they're looking at a date probably in April, where we'll try to get some more community input in regards to that. It's been a while since we've talked about what that design would be. We want to get people back on board with where we were and make sure that we're taking into account any things that people want to see changes with that too. So, but we'll keep you up to date on that. We did get our first report on what we'll be seeing for increment out of that. This year we were scheduled to get about $275,000. That was kind of our estimate of what would be available for an increment for this fiscal year. Well, we got a report from the first quarter sales tax collections, and that first quarter, the growth from the previous year was enough to cover $250,000 in just that one quarter. Wow. So we're seeing some significant growth in sales tax collections. We had last year was close to 5% growth. Looks like at least the first quarter of this fiscal year is very high. And I'd say that you got a few factors that are going on that. Again, we still have, that was July through September. We still had the full construction crews going down at the plant. But you also have, with the redevelopment of the old Kmart site, that has really, I think that's really probably been a pretty good driver. I haven't seen any numbers that would be able, I mean, we don't get to see what individual retailers are doing, but I would say that that location is probably helping to drive that too. That's it. But anyway, that was a funding source that we're all based on what is actual growth, and things are looking good there for it. That's a positive sign.
Did you hear that, Chief? He ended on a positive note. Did you hear
that? We call it happiness.
That's rule number one. Always end on a high note.
Yeah, it never happens, does it? This is a first.
Hey, Bob, you know what time it is. Can I get one?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Kathleen.
Fleming.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Ended on a high note.